Hey everyone, it's Alex Martinez, and in today's video here, I'm going to cover the MLS offer system. I'm going to be breaking it down step by step in 9 steps. And really at the core, what this is how to wholesale and flip houses with $0. And what this will lead to, it will give you the ability to actually buy and hold property, to rent it out, to build a passive income. So we're going to be talking about active ways to make an income through real estate. That's absolutely possible for anyone to do. And then we're going to talk about ways on how to make passive income through the active income that you're actually making. And so if you're here today, I want to congratulate you for being here, because a lot of people talk about taking the time to actually learn, taking the time to actually learn things and apply them and better their life. And the things I want to teach you today have created an amazing life for me, for my students, and I want you to have the access to that same information that we're going to have here today. All right, so first off, I'm going to quickly break down what wholesaling is, what flipping is, and then get into these 9 steps of the MLS offer system. And what's important to understand is that for the last 5 years, we've seen it range from statistics from the National Association of Realtors that anywhere from 86 to 91% of all real estate transactions that happen in a year happen on the MLS, the multiple listing service, or with a real estate agent. So we like to work smarter, not harder. We like to focus where all of the transactions are happening, because a lot of good things happen when you operate in a big ocean of deals, right? The deals are there for us. And what we love about the MLS too, and on-market deals, is that there's new deals coming up across different markets, all across the United States, new distressed houses all of the time. Because distressed houses are being listed on the MLS, but I also want you to know that there's retail properties being listed for sale with real estate agents. But we're not going to target those properties, right? If you target those properties, you're going to be wasting your time. We're going to be targeting distressed properties that are on the MLS, something we've been doing for over a decade now. And we've been doing it in single family, we've been doing it in commercial, multifamily. The strategies here that I'm going to teach you today apply to all forms of real estate. So I'm really excited to dive in. And everything I cover here, this is what my team and I, that we work on every single day. And this is what my team and I work on with our students as well, to apply these principles, to apply these steps every single day. Because, having awareness of something is not truly an understanding. There's really a difference of really taking concepts and applying them and learning. And that's why a lot of people come into our programs, so they can apply these concepts, get coaching, get the weekly call reviews, understand the numbers, get feedback, partner up with students on deals to increase their likelihood of success, to get that education that's needed to actually move forward. So that's why people partner up with us. And if you're interested in communicating with our team and seeing what that looks like and working with us and getting this type of help, then all you need to do is schedule a call below. Just click the button. But let's dive right into it, okay? So we're gonna dive into the MLS offer system breakdown. And let's go through 9 steps. It's going to allow you to wholesale and flip houses with $0. Now, I'm not saying you're going to get a deal in 30 days. I'm not saying you're going to get a deal in 21 days or 7 days or 60 or 90 days. But it is possible to get a deal within 30 days. I want you to know. I've worked with a lot of people that have been able to achieve that. But I want to set the expectations right now. If you don't get a deal in 30 days, guess what? It's completely fine. And if you're sad or frustrated that you don't get a deal in 30 days using what I'm teaching here, I want you to know, don't be disappointed. This is a journey that my students and I have been on for a long time. This is something I've been doing for over a decade. And if I just had this 30-day mindset of, 30 days or bust, I would never be where I'm at today. Doing these types of deals consistently, doing these types of deals in different markets. So I want you to come in here with the right expectations that you're going to hear these principles that we've been applying for over a decade. And I want you to know that sometimes it takes time, and some people are going to do this and get a deal very quickly, and some people are going to take a little bit longer, and that's completely fine. All right. So real estate's most likely going to be a part of your life for a long, long time. It's been a part of mine for a long time, and it's going to be a part of my life forever. So it's important to know these concepts and know that, hey, you're going to work on these skills and hone them over time. But also what you're going to learn today are things that you can actually start applying immediately. All right, so let's dive right into it. The 9 steps on how to wholesale and flip houses with $0 in marketing and the other costs as well. All right, so step number 1, if you want to get started wholesaling and flipping, what the heck do you need to do, right? And I want to conquer this immediately. We need to pick your market, okay? Meaning, where are you actually wholesaling and flipping? And I've seen so many people take 2, 3, 4, 5 years to actually get started in real estate because they're afraid to pick their market. They don't know what to do. And 2, 3, 4, 5 years go by and they're in the same exact situation that they were in 5 years ago. And they're disappointed, all because of this step one that really can take about 5 minutes to decide. They let that hold them back. So I want to let you know the awareness of this. And there's 2 ways to look at this. And there's a lot of freaking information out there today, guys. And I just want to be the signal through all the noise for you to make this a lot simpler and easier so you can understand and get started and start taking action and getting results. So step number 1 is pick your market. And I look at this in 2 ways. Are you going to start locally in your backyard, locally in the market you live in, or virtually? And I have to discuss this because a lot of people on the internet and a lot of people, from, COVID and hopping on Zoom think that, everything can happen virtually all the time. And there's successful people wholesaling and flipping virtually, and there's successful people doing it locally. But I'm here to tell you, in my own personal belief, that you're going to have so much success if you start in your own market that you're actually in. You know so much about your market already than a random market virtually that you have no idea about, right? Starting from, you may have family members in your local market that are involved in real estate in one way or another. You know what are bad streets. You know the good streets. You know some areas where developments are going on, where they're not going on. Guess what? That local knowledge is extremely valuable. If you pick a virtual market you know nothing about, you have to go learn all of those things. And if you've been in your environment, in an area for a few years, or maybe you're in your hometown and you've been there 18, 20, 30 years, 40 years, you know so much about the market, you have so much information that is going to help you actually be successful. So the question is, are you going to pick your market locally or virtually? All right, so I recommend locally for everyone. You can make your own decision, but local has so many benefits. I'll explain. Like one benefit, for example, let's say you talk to a real estate agent who says, hey, I have this deal. We can close the deal at $180,000, and you've ran your numbers and you know $180,000 works for you. You know that you can potentially, in this example, make a $10,000 or $20,000 wholesale fee, or you can fix and flip this deal and make $40,000 or $50,000. And the agent says, hey, I need you to meet me at the property in about 30 minutes or 1 hour. Now, in that situation, in a local environment, if you're actually doing this where you live, how easy would it be to meet that agent 30 minutes or an hour if you're working on this part-time or full-time, making the time investment to actually do this and make it happen? It's going to be a lot easier than if you're doing this virtually 5 states over and you have that conversation with the agent who says, meet me at a property in 30 minutes or 1 hour. Guess what? That ain't going to happen. For you to make that happen, to meet the agent, you're going to have boots on the ground, people that you know that can meet that agent at a moment's notice for you to be able to get a deal. Because good deals go quick, right? And I want to increase the likelihood of your success. Like this game, to be successful in wholesaling and flipping, it's all about these little things that you need to do to increase your chances for success. And so once again, it's going to be so much easier locally. Like how I got my start when I first started 10 years ago, I was in San Diego, living in San Diego, and still am today. And so when I got started, I started wholesaling and flipping houses in San Diego. And when there's a lot of other things to learn about this process, just starting locally is going to make it so much easier for you. All right, am I getting the point across? Now, virtually, if you want to do virtually, right? If you're like, okay, Alex, I don't care. I'm virtual. I don't like talking to people in person or anything along those lines, or maybe you just can't move from your house at all, then you need to do it virtually. All right. So if you want to do it virtually, I recommend that you have some sort of knowledge about the area that you want to invest in. Maybe you have lived there for a long time in the past, but you don't live there now, right? Maybe you just moved from an area, you lived for 20 years and you're 5 states over, but you still have a lot of contacts in that area, right? It's still an area where you have a network. You can start building a team there, right? That's when you can start doing it virtually. Now, the great thing about locally, if you get good at doing it locally, there's a lot of local deals I've done in San Diego that I've been virtually, meaning I never went to the property. I never went to the property. I got it under contract before ever going to the property, and I did it all virtually. I did it digitally without having to go to the property. Those situations will happen even in your own market. But once again, there's going to be deals that come across your plate that locally you need to build rapport with someone. You need to meet someone at the property in order to make it happen, all right? So what I want you to do, challenge you right now in this call, is say, hey, am I going to start locally or am I going to start virtually? And I recommend that you start locally, but I want you to make that decision now so this doesn't hold you back and 5 years go by and you're still in the same situation that you're in, all right? Now, in order to wholesale and flip houses successfully, I want to cover this next step, which is going to be finding 3 to 5 cash buyers. Okay, and what cash buyers are, just so everyone knows, these are the buyers that will buy your wholesale deals. All right, these are typically fix and flippers, actively flipping multiple houses per month that want wholesale deals. They want distressed properties to be sent to them, and they want distressed properties to be under contract that all they need to do is sign the dotted line, and then they have a deal, and they'll pay you a wholesale fee. Now, there's sources out there that say, hey, the average wholesale fee can be around 5 to 10% of the value of a property. We've had wholesale fees be $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, even less than that. And I'm not saying you're gonna get more or less than that. It ranges, but you can get compensated for bringing these deals to cash buyers and assigning the contract to them, which we'll cover in here. But you need to find these 3 to 5 cash buyers. And it's even important that you do this even if you're interested in fixing and flipping property. And let me tell you why. I've coached and I've worked with a lot of fix and flippers that say, hey, Alex, I'm not interested in wholesaling at all. That's above me or whatever. I just want to flip houses and make beautiful houses. And then my next question is, okay, well, if you're so serious about this and you've been doing this, right? Let's say this was an active fix and flipper, is what I've heard a lot. I asked them, how many contracts have you canceled in the last month that you thought you were going to fix and flip, and you got under contract to buy and something came up, you saw, hey, that cracked slab, I didn't underwrite the deal for that, and it needs $20,000 more of repairs, or you had too many projects going on, and so you had to cancel a contract. You didn't actually take that fix and flip all the way through. You didn't buy it. And I've heard anywhere from, hey, 3 deals a month, 3 contracts a month, we cancel, right? So in that example, if you're a fix and flipper and you're canceling 3 contracts a month and you're just saying, nope, we're not going to do it. You know what? Too many projects going on or the deal's too hairy. And you're not aware of how to wholesale a deal and the process on how it works, then you are truly leaving a lot of money on the table. Because if you're canceling a contract and not even attempting to wholesale that contract, and let's just say, for example, you were able to make $10,000 per contract that you canceled, it's not a far off number from what is possible to achieve from wholesaling a property. Well, if they're canceling 3 contracts a month that they could have wholesaled, in this example, that's $30,000 a month they're leaving on the table that they could have achieved. And now when we extrapolate that across a year, 12 months, right? That's $360,000, 3 deals a month, $30,000 a month times 12. That's a lot of money, right? And that's a lot of money that can be used for operational costs in your business. That's a lot of money that can be used for investing into your own education. That's a lot of money that can be used for hiring employees, right? And so if you want to be a fix and flipper, learn the heck how to wholesale, right? Otherwise, you're going to be leaving a lot of money on the table. So I want to make that point very clear if you're here, right? Because we have people that want to wholesale and fix and flip, and we always recommend doing both, right? So, we have this saying, you want to cherry pick the best, flip the best, wholesale the rest when you get to that level. Now, when we're starting out, wholesaling is the perfect opportunity to start out because there's a lot of risk once you start to flip houses, and there's risk in everything that you do. And we want to minimize risk as much as possible. And when we do things the right way, when wholesaling, you can actually have little to no risk when done the right way, understanding the contracts, which are so important, underwriting the deal the right way, understanding the timelines of the deal, right? You're able to protect yourself and back out if you need to. If you're not able to find a buyer, right? If it's not a good deal and you messed up something, you can back out of the deal, do the contract when done the right way. Now, if you're doing a fix and flip deal and you buy that deal and you're renovating it and a lot of things come up, there's no canceling the deal at that point, right? You're in the deal, you're pot committed, right? And so understand wholesaling is the perfect playing ground to get started. There's so many benefits to it. You're gonna be able to network with other cash buyers, the fix and flippers that you're wholesaling the deals to. You're gonna be able to start to analyze, what are they analyzing their numbers at? You know, how well did they do on this deal? What was their profit potential? Who are their contractors that they're using? You know, as a wholesaler, if you start to absorb that information, if you're aware of that, when it comes to fixing and flipping, guess what? You know, what contractors should you use to fix and flip your house? Maybe the ones that your cash buyers are using on a monthly basis that are proven, that are vetted, that do great, phenomenal work, that hit timelines, right? So that's why wholesaling is such an awesome playing ground if you truly, truly, truly want to fix and flip and renovate property, all right? So with this step, finding 3 to 5 cash buyers, we want to do this in step 2, right? So many people get so excited about finding the deal, and that's going to come. But if you don't have the exit strategy in mind when wholesaling, if you don't know your end buyer beforehand, how do you know you're going to find the right deal for them? How do you know that you're going to find exactly what they want, right? How do you know that? How do you have confidence that you're going to be able to even wholesale this deal if you don't know a buyer, right? And I need to give you that awareness because so many people get eager and get started and say, hey, I'm just going to get the deal under contract, and then I have 2 weeks to try and find this buyer and to try and sell it and wholesale it. And guess what? If you don't find a buyer in 2 weeks, you're not going to be able to wholesale that deal, and you're going to cancel that contract and leave potential money on the table, right? So this is why it's step 2, find 3 to 5 cash buyers. This doesn't have to take weeks. It doesn't have to take months. This can happen in 24, 48 hours. Now, this is something I want to recommend. You always keep your cash buyers cap on. Find 3 to 5 cash buyers, but then don't stop finding cash buyers, right? There's always another better cash buyer out there. So you always want to keep finding your cash buyers. I'm going to give you a few strategies right now to be able to find them, all right? So number one great strategy that I love is just using Google. So with using Google, what we can do is type in particular keywords that cash buyers are ranking for on Google. For example, if I type in "we buy houses Austin, Texas," "we buy houses Austin, Texas," or "sell my house fast Austin, Texas," what you're going to find, the search results, the organic search results, you're going to find real estate investment companies. You're going to find residential redevelopers, fix and flippers that can be your cash buyers, and then you can contact them. All right, then you can contact them and get their buying criteria, what they're looking for. Right? These are the things that we have scripts for in our program that we coach our students on to be able to find these cash buyers and get their buying criteria so you can find exactly what they want. And so you can confirm that they're doing multiple deals per month, because we don't want some fly-by-night cash buyer, some fly-by-night fix and flipper that's not doing any deals, or maybe only doing 1 deal every 24 months. We want the cash buyers that are doing multiple deals every single month. So when you send them a deal, they can make quick decisions. They can tell you yes or no in a matter of hours whether they want the property or not, because they want a lot of properties to flip. All right. So step number 1, Google. I just told you a couple of key words, and this is something we practice in our program of trainings on to continually find cash buyers through Google. Now, number 2 is going to be Craigslist. Kind of take that same approach on Google. Go to Craigslist. Go to the housing section, type in "we buy houses," and let's just say, find your city. I'll run with the example of Austin, Texas, for example. So go to Craigslist, go to Austin, Texas, and then go to houses, and then type in "we buy houses." And you're probably going to see some advertisements of fix and flippers and cash buyers that are looking for distressed properties, right? These are people that can buy your deals. These are people that can pay you wholesale fees for your deals on Craigslist. You're gonna see that. You might see like digital advertisements saying, "Hey, we buy houses." You might see pictures of families saying, "Hey, we're investors, we buy houses." You're going to see it on there. So use the Craigslist trick. This is a great one to find cash buyers. Now, how long does it take to go to Google and type this in? Probably 10 seconds. How long does it take to go to Craigslist and type this in? 30 seconds, a minute. Right? This is why these things don't need to take that long. Why I'm telling you this, because people like to overcomplicate things. Like I mentioned, I want to be the signal through the noise. Now, I want you to also understand, Finding cash buyers is like a funnel, okay? So you're gonna speak to some cash buyers that don't have the time of day for you, and that's fine. You shouldn't go walk away with your tail in between your legs and say, this was hard, real estate doesn't work for me, this doesn't work, right? Picture and imagine you got to find 20 cash buyers and talk to them for that funnel to dwindle down for 3 to 5 cash buyers to come out, okay? I wanna set you up with the right expectations so you don't quit after you say, hey, I picked my market, I'm doing it locally, and I talked to a cash buyer and didn't wanna work with me. Like, if you're failing at this step, and understand, failure is just feedback. It's just feedback on how you can do better. So it's not even true failure. But if you're letting this step of talking to another human being hold you back from building the life of your dreams to being successful in real estate, then you're not going to cut it. All right. And we want to work with people who are coachable. We want to work with people who are determined. We want to work with people that understand, hey, I'm going to try 9 times and that 10th time may succeed. And that's all that matters. Right? And so don't be alarmed. Don't be dissuaded if you talk to 3 cash buyers and only one of them wants to work with you. That's completely fine because they're busy. They're humans too. And people have different personalities and different personalities clash. So understand that, right? It might take 20 to find those 3 to 5. I want to set you up for success. All right. So we got Google, we got Craigslist, and now we're going to be covering one of my favorites, okay? RIAs, which are Real Estate Investor Association meetings. Now, this is good old-fashioned networking, all right? This is actually going to an in-person meeting. You can go to Google, you can type in Real Estate Investor Association meetings in my area, Real Estate Investor Association, Austin. You can go to these meetings, and guess what? Real estate investors hang out there. Fix and flippers hang out there. So if you want to meet fix and flippers that you can wholesale deals to, what do? You go to RIAs, all right? Now, I'm giving you the gold right here on how to make it happen, right? Throughout my life, I've gone through tons of different networking events, entrepreneurship events, different business events, online events, marketing events, a ton of different ones. And you're not going to go to a random entrepreneurship event and then find like tons of fix and flippers. Like it's a lower likelihood that they're going to be in that pool, right? But when you go to a Real Estate Investor Association meeting where real estate investors go to hang out, to network, to learn, that's where you're going to meet them. So this is the signal through the noise in the types of meetings. Just Google this. Now, sometimes these are free, right? And that's how we can do it with $0. But guess what, guys? Sometimes it's $10 or $20 to hang out for 1 to 2 hours. But is that worth it to find a cash buyer that could potentially pay you $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 per deal? And I'm not saying every deal is going to be like that, but that's the potential of what can happen through finding one cash buyer. I'm happy paying $10, $20 for that to happen. And this has happened multiple times where I've met cash buyers, I've met private lenders, I've met hard money lenders, I met the people that I needed to grow my business at these meetings, not just cash buyers. There's so many good things that happen. So many good things that happen through osmosis and RIAs. All right, so we got Google, we got Craigslist. Honestly, you can use those 2 to find cash buyers. Perfect, you got them. RIAs, and then one that's online as well, just pretty simple, Facebook groups. And I just want to give you some simple strategies. There's a ton of different strategies to find them, but so many people get bogged down. Like for example, like there's people that will tell you, oh, you know what, you want to send all these mailers to all these potential cash buyers. I'm like, really? You want to write 100 letters or go get 100 letters made? Take a week, take a month to do that. So you can go write those letters, lick those envelopes, hit the stamps, go send them, then you twiddle your thumbs, you get some mailers back that say, hey, stop sending me mail or return to sender, to then wait a month to find a cash buyer? Or do you want to frickin' go to Google and then in 5 minutes call a potential cash buyer and have a conversation with them and they're interested in working with you? Time is money. Time is money. Time is everything, right? We all know how to make money here and there, right? I don't know how to make more time. So I love saving my time. I love working smarter, not harder. And it's why I'm sharing these strategies with you. Google trick strategy. We go to Google, type in We Buy Houses, Austin, Texas. Craigslist, We Buy Houses. Real Estate Investor Association meetings. Go there, rub elbows, network. People will share case studies at times of deals they're working on. Guess what? That's a cash buyer. Facebook groups, okay? Now with Facebook groups, go to Facebook, type in Real Estate Investor for your area, Austin, type in real estate investing, you can type in wholesaling, all these different things, all these different keywords, and you're gonna find groups that you can go in there and then ask and see, hey, is anyone interested in buying houses below market value? That's what I do. I get these properties under contract below market value, and I'd love to be able to sell them to you. I'd love to be able to sell you the interest in these contracts to you, right? That's exactly what you can do here with Facebook groups, just to make it easier for you. All right, so we want to find 3 to 5 cash buyers. I'm not just talking willy-nilly any type of cash buyer. We're talking about cash buyers buying multiple deals per month. And I'm talking about cash buyers that are quality cash buyers that want to work with you, that will pay you wholesale fees for these deals. They're out there, and this is how the industry works. So we find 3 to 5 cash buyers, and now we'll go to step 3. So this is what everyone's been buying their nails about, right? How to find deals, right? So our favorite way to find deals is the multiple listing service, the MLS. Now, just so you know, the MLS, what that means, there's like over 600 of MLSs across the nation. They're different softwares that realtors use to list real estate properties for sale, so that all the real estate agents and real estate professionals in the area can know what's for sale. And I learned at a young age that there's distressed properties on here. And depending on your area, every day there are distressed properties being uploaded. And that these distressed properties need to go to a cash buyer. These distressed properties cannot be bought by a normal homeowner that can get an FHA loan, a normal conventional loan. So there's deals on the MLS. And so when I say MLS, think about your particular market, your particular area. It's the software that realtors pay for that lists all the property. It shows you all the property that's for sale, that's been for sale, it's expired, all of this rich data that as a real estate investor, we really feel is extremely crucial to your success, all right? And so let's say you're not licensed. You don't have to do any of this, or you don't have to get licensed to wholesale and flip houses. I'm telling you right now. But there are benefits to getting licensed, and one of them is you easily get access to the MLS. Now, I'm not licensed myself, but there's easier ways to get access to the MLS as well. But it's just that, getting your real estate license, like some people put shame on that or whatever, it's an extra tool in your tool belt. I encourage it. It's not necessary or mandatory, but it can help. And you'll get access to the MLS. So that's one good reason. But guess what? In a lot of areas, there's something called assistant access. Important to understand. Assistant access, clerical access, has different names, but usually we see assistant access. And what I've had in San Diego multiple times over the last decade is assistant access in San Diego. That allows me to see all the access, or all the deals, all the listings, and I'm not even licensed, right? So in some areas, realtors can grant assistant access to the MLS, so you can access it and you can find distressed deals every single day and use it to be able to reach out to agents. Because what's great about the MLS too, it has the contact information of the listing agent of a property, the agent that's selling a property. It has their phone number, it has their email in there. And so you can contact them directly, which is part of this strategy and will always be part of the strategy. You talk to the person who's in charge of the deal, right, directly. And what's beautiful about the MLS, guess what? If a house is for sale in the MLS, that seller of that property has their hand raised and is saying, I am interested in selling my property, right? You need to understand what we're all looking for as investors. If you want to wholesale and flip, we're all looking for motivated sellers, people that want to sell their property. Every house that's for sale in the MLS, the seller wants to sell their property. So we've made our job a lot easier for us. Instead of having to dig around and spend $30,000 a month in marketing with mailers and paid advertising or different things, I can just go to the MLS, find a distressed property, and know that that deal is going to go to an investor. So why not me? Why not me? I can get this deal under contract. I can wholesale it to one of my cash buyers. So you need to understand that these deals are there. So you can get access to the MLS. Now, a couple other ways that's pretty good are Realtor.com. I got some chicken scratch, we'll do good. Redfin.com, Zillow, okay? Now there's also PropStream, or there's also other softwares like PropStream, privy, right? There's other ways to access on-market properties, but we love using these free strategies in order to find these listings, right? I've worked with students that have successful businesses, met tons of other real estate investors, have tons of successful businesses that don't use the MLS. And so when I say, hey, this is about wholesaling and flipping properties from the MLS, so you don't need to spend any money in marketing, that's the beautiful thing. Realtor, Redfin, Zillow have access to MLS listings that are on there, right? If you go to Redfin right now in your area, or Zillow or Realtor, and you see a house for sale, and you see the real estate agent's name, it's most likely on the MLS in your area. So these can be as good as the MLS. The difference is that the MLS is just going to have a lot more rich data. For example, sometimes the confidential remarks are on here telling you the seller's true motivation, telling you additional things that are wrong with the property. They're going to be able to help you move this deal forward or get a better price on this deal, right? So there's more information on there. And so these are the ways to find the on-market properties. Remember, we've seen 86 to 91% of all houses, all real estate transactions that go for sale, 86 to 91% on the MLS, meaning on these platforms. Huge, huge opportunity, right? So how do we find these properties now? All right, let's cover a few strategies. So number one, day zero strategy. All right, so here's what you need to do. Speed is the name of the game. Speed is the name of the game here. When a new listing comes up on the market and it's distressed, you need to be using the MLS, Realtor, or Redfin, and check it on a daily basis and say, what are the newest listings that are on here? And then if it's a distressed house, you need to contact and call that real estate agent, all right? So our favorite approach has always been the day zero strategy, because you can call an agent 5 minutes after a deal that's been listed, and they can agree to work with you, and you get the deal under contract 10 minutes later. And guess what? Once that deal is under contract, no one else can get the deal under contract. You have it under contract. It's a binding contract. And now you beat everyone to the punch. So this is why speed is important. So when you're continually, every single day, there's opportunity. You check the new listings every single day. And let's say there's 20 new listings today in your market. 5 of those may be distressed. Those are the 5 you call on immediately. I'm not calling on the multi-million-dollar deal that doesn't need $1 in renovations. I'm not contacting retail property. I'm contacting distressed properties that are there, right? And so those 5, in this example, you call that agent immediately to let them know you're interested in purchasing the property. And you start working out a deal right then and there. And you can get deals under contract the same day. Sometimes it takes longer, follow up. And so we really the game we play here is speed. Good deals go quick. You need to understand that, right? Good deals, if they're listed, they go quick. So you have to be fast. But this is why it's our favorite strategy. If you're on the ball, which if you're taking this seriously, you want to change your life, then day zero is going to bring you a ton of good fortune when worked the right way. Now, a good second strategy, and this is something in our program, we have about 9 really solid strategies that we cover. So I'm just going to be covering a few of these strategies here. But here's another one that I like. Old listings, all right? So when a property's been sitting on the market, so when I say old listings, like 60, 90 days, 120 days, something's wrong with that property, right? If it hasn't sold in 30, 60 days, there's something up. Meaning that the price is off, right? It's way too high of a price. No one wants to buy it. The seller won't come down in their price. It means that maybe it was under contract, but then more stuff was found about the property through the due diligence, through the inspections. And so now it fell out of contract because the seller wouldn't adjust the price. It could be that the property's sitting on the market because there was a death in a family member and there's a lot of legal matters that they have to work out before they can actually sell the property. It could be that there's a divorce going on and they have to, settle some legal things in order to actually sell the property. There's a ton of personal reasons on why a property can be sitting on the market. So while speed is the name of the game here, what's also important, this is important in all facets, is to be a solutions provider, right? So now we call on old listings that are sitting, that are distressed. And when you talk to this real estate agent, we're saying, hey, what's the situation? What's the problem here? What's going on? I'm interested in purchasing this property. I think, I would think it would have sold already. Can you tell me a little bit more about it? Right, when we do that, if we uncover problems and you can help solve those problems, perfect. You can potentially get the deal because agents work with who they trust and like. Now, additionally, right, there could have been things going on that only time could have solved, right? Remember, like litigation, like a lawsuit or whatever it was. And it just had to sit on the market for a certain amount of time. So let's say you call that property, it's been sitting 90 days, and you call on that agent, you say, hey, what's going on? They say, oh yeah, they're in litigation, it's probably gonna take another 30 days. And you say, okay, is it mind if I follow up with you? Maybe in a couple of weeks, check in, see if anything came up earlier, or is that all right? What's gonna happen? Yeah, give me a call. It's all good. Check in a couple of weeks. They're like, no, 2 more weeks. Okay, cool. I'll check in. You give them another call, and guess what? Oh yeah, we're all done with litigation. The property was listed at 180, but now they're open to selling at 150. Right? And just because you're on the ball and you followed up with an old listing, and now this thing was out of litigation, now you can close on the property. And it's really as simple as that in some of these scenarios. And people just don't have an awareness that sometimes time can kill all deals, but time can make all deals happen. Now, additionally, on the MLS, on these platforms, another strategy, it's pretty simple, are word searches. Sometimes agents put particular words inside of a listing, like, hey, handyman special, diamond in the rough, needs TLC, fixer-upper, it's going cash only. And these key words, when you do a search on your MLS, on these platforms, you can find now all of the properties that are listed for sale that have those key words and start to sort through there. And they might be listed within the last week, or they might be sitting on the market for a long time. But now you're doing kind of just a different search. The properties that are missed through the cracks, you're using these word searches to find them. All right, so that's another good one that we like. All right. And then for number 4, we're gonna have right here, this one's just like a fun freebie. So if Redfin works in your market, it works in a lot of markets, there's actually a filter on there that has fixer-upper. And they use their own algorithm, it's not always correct. But you can go to your market and then go check mark fixer-upper and then go look at all listings that Redfin has pulled as fixer-upper. So just a really quick, easy way to find distressed deals. And if you're serious about this and following these steps and you're following along, well, and you're like, man, I haven't got a deal yet. And I talk to you and I say, well, have you gone to Redfin and have you looked at all the fixer-upper leads in your area? And you tell me no, then I'm gonna know you're not serious, all right? Because I'm telling you exactly what you need to do in order to be successful and find these deals, right? So here's how we find deals. Guess what? We do this on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. You do this, you're gonna find deals that you can then wholesale, then you can then fix and flip, all right? So let's go to the next step now. Now we know how to find deals, broke it down right there. The next step that we have is how to talk to real estate agents. All right. Now this is very important because it's important to come off as a professional. Competent people don't like to work with incompetent people. So when you can be competent and have an understanding of what you're doing in this process, and competence can be as simple as, hey, you found your cash buyers first, so when you get a deal under contract and you want to wholesale it, 2 weeks doesn't come around and you can't wholesale the property, you then have to go back to the agent, cancel the contract, and you say, oh, I wasn't able to close on the deal, and really you just couldn't find a cash buyer. That's incompetence, right? So it's about thinking a few moves ahead here. And with talking to real estate agents, we're going to talk to them on the phone, all right? This is not something that you want to just text agents all the time or email all the time. You want to talk to people on the phone. And I'll use this analogy. You ever get a text message and you look at it from a person, you're like, man, I don't really know what they're saying. Like, that seems kind of weird or mean. Man, they used an exclamation at the end there. Like, oh, are they mad or what? Like, that happens all the time. And it can be taken out of context. But when you talk to someone on the phone, you understand their tonality. You can really talk to them and connect with someone. And that's so important. You can ask them an immediate question, an immediate follow-up question, and get deals done. So talking to agents is of the utmost importance. And what you need to understand everyone, understand, why do we like the MLS so much? Why do we like on-market leads? This is not cold calling. In my eyes, cold calling is calling someone that doesn't want your phone call. Cold calling is calling someone that's not expecting your phone call. Guess what? On the MLS, when an agent lists a property, they want phone calls. They're expecting phone calls. They get paid by picking up phone calls, accepting offers, and closing deals. So these are warm and hot phone calls. That's what I like. I personally don't like cold calling. I like making warm and hot phone calls. I like when I call an agent and I talk to them about a great offer price and they say, hey, I like that. I know what's going on in their head. If I close this deal, I get a commission and I make money, right? So you need to understand, these are warm and hot phone calls. These agents want to pick up your phone calls. These agents know, you got to know that when they close the deal, that's when they get paid. All right. So that mind shift is very important because a lot of people are like afraid of calling. Oh my gosh, I don't know if these agents want to talk to me. Guess what? They want to talk to you. And the more you practice and the more you know your stuff and the more experience you get, the more they're going to want to talk to you and the more deals you're going to be able to close. So these are warm and hot phone calls. So with talking to real estate agents, it's pretty simple. Let's say you've gone here, day zero strategy. I find a distressed property on the market. It looks distressed. I look at the photos of the property. It needs fixing up. So we found a property that's in a distressed condition. That's what we're looking for. So, hey, it's got mold on it, overgrown shrubbery. Man, the fence is all messed up. You go inside, it's outdated from the 70s. It has holes in the roof, right? It's distressed, right? It's in a distressed condition. I'm going to call in that deal because that deal needs to go all cash, right? This is a deal that I can provide to my cash buyers, and or if I have the knowledge and experience and the right training and education, I can fix and flip the property, right? So now at this particular point of time, I call that agent. It's as simple as, hey, is this Marissa? Hey Marissa, this is Alex with ABC Homes. Just want to give you a call about the property at 1234 Hurst Drive. Is right now a good time to talk about it? Okay, awesome. Oh yeah, and by the way, you know, I am unrepresented. I was wondering if you're open to representing me. I am a cash buyer. You know, I like this property. If it works out, love to have you represent me, right? And when we start the conversation like that, what we're doing is allowing them the opportunity to represent us as our buyer's agent too, which is a great way to incentivize an agent. So agents will make anywhere from 2.5% to 3% commission when selling a property. So if the property, I'll use a really low example, well, I'll use $300,000. All right. Then what they're going to be making is 7.5 or 7,500, right? Or $9,000 in commission for selling the property. And then the buyer side, as of right now, the buyer side is going to be making $75,000 to $9,000 too. So when you ask that question, they have the ability to be able to make twice as much money through working with you. So very important that you do that. Now, what we're also going to go through in this conversation, I won't go through every single little thing. This is what we have scripts about that we've mastered, that we've honed over 10 years, that all of our students get access to these scripts. It's what we work on. It's what we give feedback to our students on so they can talk to these agents. And it's really a tried and true method. If you follow the script, plug in the right rules, be able to know to understand the objections, which are in the script as well, then you'll be able to, have potentially great results with it. Well, in this situation, we're going to find out what's going on with the property, right? I'm calling just to figure out, hey, do the pictures, are the pictures on the MLS, do they match what's actually going on in the property? I'm going to ask them about the condition of the property. Hey, you know what? The bathrooms, the flooring, it looks like a little bit stuck in the 70s. Has that ever been updated? Oh no, you're right, Alex. Yeah, these people have been in this property for 40 years, hasn't been renovated. It's kind of this dilapidated condition, it's got the holes in the roof, it's overgrown. They were living in this property for a long time and then they haven't been, they actually have another property and they just stopped caring about it, right? So I'm getting this information out of the agent who's in charge of the deal, who should know the most about the deal. And I'm gathering this information, right? Information gathering at this particular point in time. Now, through that conversation, through asking all the questions, if it's verified as, hey, if it's a distressed property, I love leaving the conversation off. You don't have to give an offer on the first time. I love telling an agent that say, okay, great. Well, this looks like a great deal for us. I'm actually going to go ahead, get with my team, look at the property. I'll give you a call back as soon as I can, probably, within the hour. and unless you know exactly where we can offer at to make this deal work. Does that sound good? Good, awesome. Now what I do, now this next step, once we've talked to the real estate agents, now we're going to analyze the property, right? And that's what I'm doing at this step. So many people, I have a very particular order for this to give you the highest chance of success here. See what so many people do, what so many people are going to skip. They're going to skip finding cash buyers. They're going to go right to finding deals. And then they're going to skip talking to the agents. And they're going to go right to analyzing deals. So they're going to find all these deals, 100 deals. And then they're going to analyze 100 deals. And guess what? A month goes by. They've been analyzing all these deals. They haven't made one freaking phone call to an agent to talk about the deal, to actually verify, hey, is this property actually for sale? To actually verify, hey, is this property actually distressed? To actually verify, is this property going to go all cash? And they waste a ton of time and they get zero results, right? And that's a lot of people suffer and quit in this business because they have no idea what they're doing and they don't have the right coaching. We talk to an agent first to verify that the pictures match what's going on with the actual property. We, at times on this call, can get the motivation of the property. Do we understand that the seller's in a distressed situation? Like going through a divorce, do they have to move in 30 days because they have a special needs child and they have to move them to a new school this next state over and they just need a cash offer and they don't want to deal with everyone walking through the property and they just want to sell it as soon as possible in the next 30 days and use the cash proceeds from this property to buy a property in the next state over at 50% of the price. And they're willing to take a discount and the property is distressed also. And that example came up. That's an example of a property I worked on and why a property was sold. And that only happened from talking to the real estate agent and knowing the situation of what's going on and knowing that I could be a solutions provider and be able to wholesale and or fix and flip this property, right? So we want to talk to agents, verify it's actual fix and flip deal or a wholesale deal. And then we analyze the deal. And here are the most important numbers. I'll make this really simple for you. Right? We have to find out what the ARV is. This is the after repair value. This is the future value once a property is renovated. To be a great wholesaler, you need to know this. You need to study this. We then have the repairs cost. This is how much the cost of the renovation of this property to actually achieve the after repair value. See? So it's after repair value right here. So that's the renovation cost. Then your wholesale fee, important to know and understand, right? What you're aiming for. And so this isn't always a guarantee. This isn't an average per se, but we always shoot for $10,000 for a wholesale fee. So that's what we recommend shooting for in a wholesale fee on a per deal basis. And then we have the purchase price. All right. So with these numbers, that's what I do on every single deal that we analyze. And analyzing a deal at times can take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. You're taking more than 30 minutes, you know you're wasting a lot of time. You're wasting a lot of time. So this is a skill that you're going to stink at in the beginning if you've never worked on it. And that's completely fine. No one comes out of the womb, no one's born knowing how to analyze deals perfectly. I wasn't. I only got good at this because I've worked at this for a long time. And I worked at it diligently. And I got good at it quickly because I just worked at it a lot. I got reps in. All this is about reps. I'm no smarter than you, let me tell you. I've just worked at this more. I just put more reps in a very limited amount of time, and then I had awesome results, right? I put the work in. It's like anything in life, right? You practice 1,000 kicks once, you're gonna be pretty good at freaking doing that kick, right? So we practice a lot. We practice this daily. And when you're finding new listings daily, right, day zero properties, and you're doing this on a daily basis, you're gonna get pretty darn good. You're gonna get pretty darn good and it doesn't cost you anything. It's only your time that you're investing into this. So super important you understand that. So how do we analyze deals? Let's break it down. So the ARV, to determine the ARV, it's after repair value, we use comps, okay? Comps are repaired property around your property, your subject property that you're looking at. And I'll give you the criteria that we use. So last 6 months sold plus or minus 20% of square footage of your subject property, right? Same bed, bath count, We're doing same zip code and city. And then make sure these are renovated as well, all right? So with that, and then what's also important too is typically this is within a half-mile radius from the subject property, okay? So we do all these things. This is how you find comparable properties to your subject property so that you can get your educated analysis of what our property will sell at once it's repaired. And once you start to do this, you reverse engineer deals. And we're gonna reverse engineer the repair costs. We're gonna reverse engineer how much you can make on a wholesale fee. And then you reverse engineer where you need to submit an offer, the purchase price as well. Now within our program, we have a tool called the deal calculator that we use to analyze all our wholesale and flip deals. It's a really plug and play formula where you plug in ARV, repairs, wholesale fee, and purchase price. That's what we use. But today, to break this down, just for easiness sakes, I'm going to give you a quick and easy to use example and formula so that you can make offers immediately and be able to get started. But first, for repairs, what's important to understand on repairs, the tools that we use in our program, we have line item by line item what the typical costs are across the nation to repair a property. And so we always encourage our students to practice what those are. And once you do that, you're going to start to get an idea of the costs that it needs to renovate a property into its best possible condition that we want to do. Now, another way to analyze the property is that you're going to most likely develop a rule of thumb for your particular area, a dollar per square foot rule of a property, of the repairs that it will take to get its best possible condition. I'll give you an example. So let's just say we're analyzing a property that's 1,000 square feet, okay? And it's in a median price point area. And we know that $35 a square foot will get us the repair costs, meaning a cosmetic renovation. Cosmetic renovation, $35 per square foot. So we do 35 times 1,000, and we know that the repairs are $35,000, okay? That's something, when you're working with cash buyers and you're sending them deals, you can ask them, what do you have like a simple way to analyze for repairs? Do you use a dollar per square foot number roughly? Right? And this is something with more experience, you're gonna get contractor quotes. You're gonna start to understand this. It might be $30 in your area, it might be $40. As we go into multi-million-dollar properties, it might be $100, depending on the area. But this is something that, general rule, $35, $40, you start using that, you're not gonna be too far off. Now our goal is to really be as precise as possible to the dollar amount. You're gonna be more far off in the beginning. You're gonna underwrite deals, meaning analyze deals the wrong way in the beginning. And everyone does. And I talked about the expectations here with cash buyers. Not every cash buyer is going to work with you. You're not going to underwrite every single deal the right way. You know, you're not going to analyze every single deal the right way. So come in here with the right expectations that, hey, this takes some practice, but you're going to be able to get it. Like all of this was foreign to me. I didn't understand this. And now I understand it like the back of my hand. I understand it just because I worked at it and I got the reps. All right. So now in this example, let's say I found the comparables on this particular property that we're using a day zero strategy property, for example. Or let's just say, hey, this property was listed at $200,000, okay? This property was listed at $200,000. It's 1,000 square feet, needs $35 a square foot in renovation. And I see that the ARV is actually, let's just say 300,000, right? So the ARV, I found my comparables. I found similar like properties. I compared apples to apples. I'm not comparing multifamily apartment building with 20 units to this single family house. I'm looking at other single family houses that are around 1,000 square feet plus or minus. So it's about 800 to 1,200 square feet. And the same bed bath count. This example, we can say this is a 3-bed, 2-bath, right? So I find all of these examples, these comparable properties I've sold in the last 6 months that have been renovated. And I know that the average amount, right? One sold at $295, one sold at $300, one sold at $305. So I know that my ARV, good educated guess, is going to be $300,000. Now through using my tool, my quick rule of thumb in this scenario, I know that the renovations need to be $35,000, all right? Right, because $35 a square foot in order to get it there. And I know that it's currently listed at 200,000. So I always run an analysis, hey, will it work at this particular price? And the formula I'm going to give you now today is the 70% rule. This is a real basic rule that we don't use much. We use our spreadsheets in order to calculate deals. But this is something today for you to take action that will allow you to figure out, hey, where do I need to have my purchase price, right? Because where do I offer, right? You know, how do I calculate this? How do I calculate my wholesale offer price? So let's go into that right now. So this rule is ARV times 70% minus repairs cost minus wholesale fee, all right? Now this will determine your purchase price, and they call it MAO, maximum allowable offer, right? For you to wholesale this deal. All right, so now we got that. So if we do this scenario, we have 300K for the ARV times 0.7. That is going to equal 0.7, 70%, 210,000, right? Minus 35K in repairs. Oop, 35K. So there we go. That leaves us 175K. Oop, getting messy. And then let's say the wholesale fee, I was shooting for a $10,000 wholesale fee. Cool. Now, I know for me to wholesale this property, for me to make my $10,000 wholesale fee that I want, in this example, I have to offer $165,000 if my cash buyer is using this particular rule. All right, so this is a pretty elementary way in order to find out exactly where I need to offer. This is called the 70% rule. And know and understand that this number is flexible. So when you talk to your cash buyers, at times you could say, hey, how do you calculate where you like to buy these properties? Do you use any deal calculators? Do you use any particular rules? They may tell you, hey, I buy at 70% of the ARV minus repairs. I buy 75% of the ARV minus repairs. I buy 80% of the ARV minus repairs, right? So this is industry knowledge that I'm telling you, right, in here so you can understand where to offer. All right, so know that this number can be flexible depending on the cash buyer. If a cash buyer is inflexible with this number, 70%, they're generally not too serious. They generally don't know what they're doing, right? They're the ones that read the forums one time and say, oh, 70% rule, that's the gospel, and I live and die and breathe by that, and I'm not gonna buy at 71% or 72%, right? And those are the people that just don't get investing. They're gonna turn down a profitable deal because they can't buy it at 70% of the ARV. It's just silly. There's a lot of cash buyers out there that will do that. So now I know for me to get a $10,000 wholesale fee, for me to make this work, I gotta offer $165,000. So just like that, right? How long did that take, right? I'm taking a little bit longer to explain it to you, not too long. That's how you can analyze a deal in 30 minutes, 10 minutes, you get good at this, 5 minutes, and now we can submit offers on a daily basis. So it's my goal for anyone who's serious about this, you're submitting 3 to 5 offers a day, actual written offers. And this is how you do it. Now, an important principle I need you to understand is that if a property is listed on the MLS, there's going to be a list price, a sales price. And in this scenario, I told you that, hey, $200,000 was the list price, right? And there's a lot of people out there that take that at face value and say, oh, I have to offer $200,000, or if I offer anything below that, they won't take it, or it's going to be bid up from $200,000, and that's the end all be all, and that's how it works. I'm here to tell you that's not how it works. If you ever bought anything from like Craigslist.com or Facebook Marketplace, for example, or if you've ever been to a garage sale, a lot of the times, and you want to buy something from any of those places, there'll be a price. And I always use this example, like a couch. So let's just say there was a couch you wanted to buy, you saw it on Craigslist, it says $500 on it. If you saw that couch, would you, in your mind, say, man, I have to offer $500 no matter what, and they won't take it? Like, what if you offered $400? Do you think this person could take that offer? Yeah. What I want you to understand is that everything is negotiable. What I want you to understand is you see a list price, it says $200,000. It's then, you need to understand it's or the best offer, right? So it is negotiable. So you can't be afraid to submit an offer at the number that works for you. Because I've had dozens, if not hundreds of conversations where I've talked with agents, say, hey, Alex, that number's not going to work. I said, okay, well, let's get a contract in. Any offer is better than no offer, right? And we submit the offer, the seller signs it, we get the deal in the contract, and I was able to wholesale and flip it. So I didn't take no for an answer, and you can't take no for an answer. And, there's people that get deals on things all the time. And just because a house is listed at a particular price doesn't mean it's not going to go at a lower price. So we've seen it all the time for years. We've been able to do it. Our students are able to do it. You get deals under contract below the list price. You close them and you can wholesale them or fix and flip them. If it's a great deal as well, you can buy and hold it, rent it out for a profit. And so I'm telling you this now because don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to submit it at 165 if the listing price is 200,000. You're going to be doing that every single darn day. And you're going to get good at it. And that's what you do. And when you're an investor, right, when you want to make money through real estate, there's an old saying, it's buy low, sell high. And you practice that day in, day out, and you get phenomenal at this. Then you're able to compound those goals, continually get better and better, and become an awesome real estate investor that you want to become. All right, so this is exactly how we analyze deals each and every time. I want to take time to break this down for you. Now, once again, we use the spreadsheets, the calculators to do this even faster. We just plug and play. And it's a system that we've developed over time to make it easier for ourselves. We like to leverage technology in a lot of different ways so that we can work faster, we can work smarter and not harder in this particular situation. And we like to give our trainings in our program on all of these steps and go in depth and have weekly coaching to make sure that you actually do these steps, because it's a lot going in the ears and then it goes out of a lot of people's ears a lot of the time. So just wanted to mention that. Now the next step that we have is how to submit winning offers and run out of room and get them accepted. All right, now we're gonna cover how to submit winning offers and get them accepted, okay? This is the fun part now. So once we've analyzed the deal, we know where we need to offer. I'm gonna call this agent back and let them know exactly where I need to come in at to make this offer work, right? And so I'm gonna tell her or him, the agent, the offer price, right? And is this something your seller would be willing to accept, right? And they say, hey, maybe, they'll say yes, they'll say maybe, and they'll say no. If I get a maybe or no, then still I'm gonna say, okay, well, how about we just write it up and then see what they say, right? An offer is better than no offer, right? And I'm always trying to get the written offer, because once we have a written offer from an agent, because here's how it works. The agent's gonna represent you, the listing agent as your buyer's agent, they're gonna write the contract. What you need to know in this on-market strategy, we're using the Realtor Association contract in your particular area. We're not using some random contract online. All right, don't do that. Don't bring a random contract online to this game. You don't wanna do that. You work with agents, the agent writes up the contract, all right? So let's say we analyze deals, we talk to the agent as well, and let's just say at this particular point in time, they say, you know what, 165 might not work, but hey, I think we can make 170 work, right? Well, let's say we can make 170 work. I know this now it's creeping up to 71, 72, 73% of the ARV. I can make 170 work. I can absolutely make 170 work. You know, this is gonna be at least a $5,000 wholesale fee, but probably more. I can do that. I can come up in price, right? I just negotiate a little bit. So she says, great, send me the offer terms, right? So now what we wanna do is submit a winning offer, right? This is where people get lost. They don't know how to write offers. They don't know how to protect themselves. So I'm gonna tell you exactly what you need. At this particular point, we wanna close in 14 days or sooner. That makes a clean offer. It's a fast closing. And I love adding or sooner in there, because it's like, hey, if this person needs a fast close, we can close sooner if needed, but it's 2 weeks. It's a 2-week timeline to close, all right? And then I like to include a 7-day inspection contingency. Now this inspection contingency, this is your back out clause. It's your back out clause from the deal.
right? If I come in, day 3 on the property, I'm looking through the property, I don't like the shade of grass, like the color, it's a little too brown, I'm gonna back out because it doesn't pass my personal inspection, right? So that's the only inspection contingency that we have on our contracts so that we keep them very clean, right? There's a lot of people that put like, hey, I'm gonna put this back out clause and this one and this one and this one. Guess what? You have a dirty offer. There's a lot of back out clauses. But when you just have one back out clause, it makes it a lot more cleaner and protects yourself. Now, what you also need to do is let the agent know of your EMD. It's called an earnest money deposit. So it's important to know in a lot of areas within three business days, an earnest money deposit's due on the property. That's typically refundable. And you need to understand and look at the contract and see if it's refundable. But typically we see that that is refundable. And it's usually $500 to $10,000 and it's typically due within 72 hours of acceptance of the contract. Now, I'm sure you're saying, Al, you told me I can do this with $0. Well, here's what you do. Because you were smart, because you listened and you found 3 to 5 cash buyers, guess what? You already lined up your cash buyers. You know what they want to buy. The second you get a deal under contract, you're calling your cash buyers and seeing if they're interested. And you've already talked with them. You know what properties that they want to buy. So of course they're going to be interested. And guess what? You wholesale the deal to them within 72 hours. And who puts in the deposit? The cash buyers. So you put $0 in the deal. Now, that's how you can do it with $0. Doesn't happen all the time, but a lot of times you're able to wholesale a deal within 72 hours. What's important to understand is that, if you have a hard time finding $500 to $10,000, then this probably isn't the right game for you, right? When I was starting out, I didn't have a lot of capital. I borrowed $10,000 for earnest money deposits to put down because I didn't have someone teaching me, exactly how to do it, right? I had one cash buyer that was busy, right? He couldn't get the deal, so I needed to find another cash buyer. So I needed to put in that deposit to then go longer to my inspection contingency to be able to buy this deal. So, right, I borrowed money from people and I said, hey, if I close this deal, let me borrow 10,000, I'll pay you $500, right? I'll pay you $500 if I close this deal, or regardless if I close this deal or not, right? And they're like, hey, you just need this money for like 2 weeks? I'm like, yeah, cool. Was able to close the deal, right? So you have to be able to find that capital if it needs to go past 3 days. But you can also back out before the EMD is due too, right? You have the inspection contingency. You can back out within the 72 hours before the EMD is due. But that's how you do it without $0 in this particular scenario. Like if you wholesale it before the EMD is due, you don't need to bring any money, right? It's pretty darn cool. So now you understand, hey, this is how I make an offer cleaner, right? I'm hearing from someone like a professional has experience, who's been able to do this time and time again, and how to submit these winning offers. You then, when the agent agrees to the price, in this scenario, let's say $170 now, when they agree to that particular price and they say, yes, I'll write the contract for you, you say, great, I'll send you the offer terms, right? You send them the 14 days or sooner closing date. You send them the 7-day inspection contingency. You send them the $1,000 EMD amount. You send them, if you have an LLC, your purchaser name, or if you're operating as an individual, you send them your name. Hey, that's going to be on the contract. Very clean offer. In this scenario as well, we have multiple ways to get a proof of funds. It's to show that you have access to the funds to actually buy a property. If it was listed at 200 or 170, you need a proof of funds. If you don't have 170 in your account, then we teach you ways on how to get these proof of funds. There's a lot of different ways. You can go to hard money lenders, private money lenders, and you have access to their bank statement. Then you can use that as your proof of funds, right? This is about being a professional. If you don't include an offer with a proof of funds, or you don't include a proof of funds with an offer, you're not gonna be looking like a pro, right? So you need to include a proof of funds as well in there. That's something we cover in the program for multiple strategies. And now this particular point, this is where I like to say how to negotiate. And get deals accepted. Because the deal isn't done until the seller signs the contract, right? So once we send this information to the listing agent, she writes up the contract, she sends it back to us digitally, we sign the contract. Now at this point, now the seller's gonna sign the contract, or they're gonna counter, or they're gonna say no. In any scenario, if they say yes, we have the deal under contract, it's executed, and now we can wholesale it, now we can buy it as a fix and flip. If they say, hey, if they counter, right? They counter offer and say, hey, 172, talk with the agent. she's your advisor in this situation. Hey, do you think it will work if I stick to my guns? Do you think 171 will work? Heed their advice and make it work. If I needed to come up to 171, I could make it work. If they just flat out reject my offer, then I'm asking the agent, hey, what do you think will work? You know, because sometimes like they'll reject your offer, but then they would have accepted 172, right? So try and get feedback from the agent. The agent's going to guide you through this process. The agent's your best friend, and you make them the best friend, and they have this information for you that you can get. So now in this scenario, right, that's how we negotiate. It's very easy, and we're just doing this on a daily basis. And then let's just say we found a price that worked. And in this scenario, because we befriended the agent, because we built rapport, because there's incentivization going on what I've taught you, they accepted the 170. Now at this particular point, if we want to wholesale the deal, how to close, right? For a wholesale, we assign the contract. Assigning the contract is basically just saying, hey, I'm assigning my interest. I'm giving away my interest to this other party. We assign our contract rights, our equitable interest in the property to our cash buyer, and that's the wholesale fee we receive is an assignment fee for sending this cash buyer our contract rights. We sign over the contract rights to our cash buyer, and I love assigning because it doesn't cost anything to assign. It's just signing a paper. And then this cash buyer is able to take it over, and this cash buyer is able to close on the property and fix and flip it. So we close on the deal because I talk to my cash buyers, and what I do is, now let's say we have it at 170 and I still want to make a $10,000 wholesale fee. I'm going to send an email to my cash buyer, and I'm going to say, hey, the ARV is 300K, and I've already talked with them. They know I'm going to send them deals. Repairs are 35K, and the purchase price is going to be 180K. Now people always say, Alex, why don't you tell them the purchase price is 170K? I'm going to send them these numbers. I'm not going to tell them the purchase price I got it under contract at, because it is irrelevant, my friends, ladies and gentlemen. It is irrelevant. I don't want them to know what my wholesale fee is at this particular point in time. I want them to agree to this purchase price and make it really simple. I don't want them to thinking about, oh man, they're making a 10K wholesale fee or 20K wholesale fee. Let me negotiate that. I just want to know, yes or no, these numbers work, and or cash buyer, do you have feedback? Right, so I've done this before, right? So when we tell them these numbers, the ARV, repairs, purchase price, I call these the big three numbers. It's what any fix and flipper wants to know. They can operate their whole business off these three numbers. And when you're good at these numbers, this is a guideline to help them. They'll do their own analysis, but guess what? You're pretty darn accurate on these numbers. They're gonna be like, sheesh, this person knows what they're talking about. I want to continue to work with them, right? So it's a luxury to be able to send these numbers. Now, you may have to set up a showing with the property for your cash buyer. I recommend at one point in time, you may have had to go to the property and check it out. You take a lot of photos of the property. You can upload that to Google Drive, to Dropbox, and send that to your cash buyer to make it as easy as possible, right? They want to see the property. A lot of times they can just see it visually, but they may want to go to it and have a personal inspection to it. We can assign the contract to them. And then at this point, it's going to be an escrow or title with a real estate attorney, which are all closing parties, depending on your state. It's different in each state, but a lot of states have escrow and title. And now, once you sign the contract, the cash buyer is going to close on the deal. And then once the deal is closed, escrow and title is going to pay you your wholesale fee. Because when done the right way, with the right contracts, we have it all contractually here. The escrow company will pay you your fee because they abide by the contracts that we have set forth. So these are contracts that we work on, we talk about in our program. We have examples for you to use that our students use to be able to successfully assign deals. Now with wholesaling, there's also double closing. You can double close and use transactional lenders' capital to be able to close on a property one time. So you close on the property at $170,000. and then you resell it to your cash buyer at $180,000. And we've done that before. We do that sometimes and when absolutely necessary, but we always like assigning because we don't have to move money around at all. Less steps. We don't have to have a couple escrows, a couple closes. So I always love assigning. Now, the great thing about this is the same exact process, even if you want to fix and flip property. Right? So even if you want to buy a property and renovate it, you do all of these steps still with on-market properties. And I wanted to catch your attention and build value if you wanted to fix and flip and you say, hey, I just want to fix and flip. I want you to know you're leaving a lot of money on the table if you don't understand how to wholesale like this. And even if you do want to fix and flip, guess what? This is everything you need to know to fix and flip. You're still going to analyze the property for yourself. You're still going to do all of these things, right? And so in order to get these deals, right, how to wholesale and flip houses, now, I don't want to take too much of your time in this particular video, but I do want to let you know that in order to fix and flip at this particular point of time, if we want to buy the property ourselves, we then raise the money to buy the property, and we use a combination of hard money lenders or private money lenders to raise money. And these are people that are in the business of lending capital for fix and flippers. And then we're able to buy the property. And then we're able to work with contractors to renovate the property. I don't swing hammers myself. I'll tell you, I hire contractors, general contractors that oversee the entire project to then fix and flip it. And then when we want to sell it for top dollar and we've renovated the property, then we hire a real estate agent to sell the property and put it back on the MLS, which has a lot of eyeballs, where a lot of retail properties are as well, right? So that's how we are able to close these properties, get these deals with $0 in marketing and $0 in other costs as well. The beautiful thing about this is that wholesaling and fixing and flipping, it will give you an active income, right? Income that you work for. And our goal for everyone is that you learn how to get started, you learn how to get momentum, and this active income that you make through wholesaling and fixing and flipping properties, you're able to roll that money into buying and holding deals, which are rental properties that you have other people living there and bring you passive income, right? Right? I have rental properties. I'm an investor in a lot of different properties, in apartment buildings and commercial buildings, and they bring an income. There's tenants in there that pay capital. And I've used active income to buy and hold properties and get equity interest in these properties for passive income. Now, passive income is cool. Active income is cool. The more passive income you're able to get, it's like we're playing a real life Monopoly. That's the goal, to acquire so much passive income that it actually surpasses your monthly expenses. And then you can really you could say, hey, I don't need to work for money anymore, right? You have that financial independence. That's where we want to help everyone to get to with this particular process. And so what I'll do today is let you know step number 9 here. I'll let you know what this one is, because now you got the right information, you have the right awareness. Now, my friends, all we do is repeat this process over and over and over again. And we do the work and we get the reps. And this process, and there's even more, but I wanted to distill it down and make it as simple as I could for you, because I applaud you for being here. I applaud you for taking the time to become someone that wants to invest in themselves, to learn and to apply this knowledge, to learn how to make an active income, to make that active income, to buy and hold properties, to make a passive income, to learn a strategy where 86 to 91% of all real estate transactions happen on the MLS, and to truly listen, And I just want you to know that I absolutely love what I do. I think if you saw me go through this, I have passion for this. I love teaching other people this, and nothing fires me up more than being able to teach someone else to change their life and to be able to do this effectively and become the entrepreneur, become the real estate investor that they've always wanted to be. And we've worked with doctors, and we've worked with people that drive trucks, and we've worked with teachers. We've worked with people that have been in real estate and people that aren't in real estate. And we've seen people have success with this. And that absolutely fires me up. And this is my calling, right? This is what I love to do. I love being able to teach this. I love being able to share. I love being able to help people to reach their goals. And, it wasn't until I got hit in the face enough with questions throughout time of people saying, hey, Alex, can you teach me this? Alex, could you help me? Alex, I want to do this. Alex, how do you do this? Right? That's when I realized that, okay, I need to really take the time to teach people this. I need to really make it simple for people to understand, to be successful. And I'm doing a disservice if I don't share this. And that's when we created Real Estate Skills, to help people get started wholesaling and flipping houses, to use this active income, to be able to then invest into properties and get them passive income, to be on this real estate journey. And this is what we love doing. Every single week, we coach our students. We have multiple coaching calls. We have multiple programs for you to get started to wholesale and fix and flip houses, to utilize these strategies and more to get started. And whether you're working part-time or full-time, the great thing is this can be done in 10 to 15 hours a week, believe it or not. Myself, I've worked at this an hour in the morning, an hour in the afternoon, and an hour in the evening. There's a lot of people that follow that strategy of a part-time job, do this on their lunch break, do this an hour before work, and do this after, and get started and get momentum, and then are able to start pursuing this full-time. And for some, it's going to take longer. For some, it's going to take shorter, right? Everyone's different, but I want you to know that this is possible. And I want you to know that if this resonated with you, and if you want help getting started, you want help getting educated, then I have my team available for you. We'd love to talk with you. I have a team of expert advisors that I've personally trained that will take care of you. And if you fill out the application below, we love working with people who are coachable. We love working with people who are determined. These are the types of people we want to work with because we have a beautiful community where people are motivated, people do deals together, people help each other out, and people continually coach each other, and we coach everyone as well. And we only want the best of the best in our community, and those that are willing to do the work and understand the trainings that I put in here, understand it's going to take reps, understand that they need to have the right expectations. So I want to congratulate you for being here and let you know if you want help with the team, you want help with systems, you want leverage, right? If this impacted you at all, imagine what else is in the program, right? We're going to be able to help you get started. You're going to have a team helping you. We do screen shares. We do deal analysis on our calls. We have a lot of help and a lot of coaching in order to get you started so you don't make the same mistakes that we made throughout the years. Decades of experience with my team that you don't need to make. And so there's really a couple paths, right? You can do this on your own, try and reinvent the wheel, try to figure it out. And you probably can. It might take a long time. Or number two, you can get help with our team, help with our systems, help with our leverage. And just know that we support you and we back you. And if you'd like to do that, all you need to do is book a call below, fill out the application so we know a little bit about you. And so we can game plan what the future can look like in your path in real estate. So I look forward to speaking with you. Thanks for hanging out today. I'll talk to you soon.